Okay, today, the workshop portion, I want to just talk about scheduling song services. Scheduling song services. So, as you see there, I have my day timer here, and I try to fold up all my schedules. I kind of put them in here and plug them in here. Some schedules, there's not a ton on there, so I can put it in here. Other schedules, there's so much on the schedule that it would take me too long to copy all of it into my day timer. So most of the time you'll find me with my day timer. If I have this, I have my schedules with me. So here's the different schedules. One here is for the chapel songs down yonder. Here's the February special schedules. So I already know in February what I need to be getting ready for. But here's the January service schedule that you guys all have a copy of. So later on, I'm going to have you look ahead to an actual month. You see on the schedule for April that you're going to put together an April service schedule. And I might change that to May, so you're actually looking ahead to a month that's yet to come. Just the principle of the thing, that you're not building a schedule in the month you're actually in. The principle, the habit of looking actually ahead to a month that's not here yet. If you're putting together the schedule for a month you're already partway through, that's not a good habit. And I don't want you to start practicing that here. So maybe we'll look at May. So you just pretend you're at home, or you have a music ministry you're in charge of. You'll actually open the calendar. Don't make up dates. Let's try to make this somewhat realistic. So you'll open the calendar and you'll plan a service schedule, including the songs, and you'll use your hymn tracker that you would have had done on the 14th. You'll actually use your hymn tracker and you'll go through and pick songs out of it and put it in there, and you'll keep track of those things. So as you see on here, you have the January service schedule. So you see there, January 3rd, Revive Us Again. We have Jim Ammon, he gave a testimony that day, and so what we do with the testimonies is they're asked several weeks earlier, will you be able to, or even sometimes months at a time, will you be able to give your testimony or pray? In this case, will you pray? And then there's a lady that actually gives a phone call on Saturday. Just a reminder you're down to pray tomorrow morning. Then Stand Up for Jesus. And again, these are going to be more peppy songs on a Sunday morning. Then the choir sings. Then there's announcements and offering. And then the testimony, Onward Christian Soldiers. So during Onward Christian Soldiers, the orchestra, which is not as full on a Sunday morning, they're dismissed. So I guarantee you, as Dr. Vogelin looks at this song, he makes sure it's long enough so that the orchestra can get out, make sure they're not just leaving their instruments that have to be put somewhere for the sake of their safety, cello not getting stepped on or whatever. They can put those things away. The choir needs to get out in an organized fashion. There's not a mad rush for the door, like a fire alarm type thing going on, and the whole platform it's nice when you see an orderly, everyone knows when to move. So Onward Christian Soldiers is long enough that everyone can get back to their places. And then you see the special here, the male quintet. So we'll talk next week about scheduling special music. It's just some ideas. And then, of course, the message. And so that is kind of that's the typical pattern for a Sunday morning. For our welcome song, you guys know that we recently changed our welcome song to I Want to Be More Than a Sunday Go-to-Meeting Christian. And it's nice because now it's in our chorus book. If you don't know the words, you can look it up in your chorus book right there. Let's sing it once together. Then the choir will sing it. The orchestra will play it through a couple times as you go walk around and welcome each other. And so that's nice, and it's got a good message. And we know we were doing Joy to the World in December. But we have that welcome song. Then for Sunday night, you see our code there. So just go across you see the top column on the right there under January 3rd, 2016. So you see C3 and C14. For us, that's our chorus book now. It's nice to have that, some of our favorites that we had pasted in different places. So C3 will be the third song in the chorus book. And obviously, a lot of these are newer. Some of the church, You guys, it'll be amazing. So if you guys ever get a chance to jump on a different bus than you used to or something, or somebody's like, oh, I love that bus song, and you're eavesdropping a little bit, and you're like, which one? What bus song do you like? And they happen to tell you, and you're like, I don't know that bus song. I've never heard that in my life. So it's like, oh, we've been singing on our bus for years and years and years and years and years and years. So anyway, you have choruses that part of the church knows and part of the church doesn't. And so we've been going through those, and of course, lately we've been having the choir and orchestra play through them ahead of time, so we get the idea. So we're not thinking, what is that melody line doing while I'm looking at words that are unfamiliar. So we have a couple choruses and then prayer. And of course, lately we've been having prayer and a Bible reading. So last night Mr. Hall got up and he read from the scripture and commented on it. So that's just something that Pastor Dameron has added to our Sunday evening service. Then the Sunday evening, you see the next Sunday, the choir is actually, for January 3rd, you have prayer and then the choir. For January 10th, there's prayer and then a song and then the choir. And I'm speaking in future tense. These Sundays have actually passed. But there is a little variety for the evening service. But you have the song after the choir, Stand By Me, the message, and then the prayer time as he gets up and he gives any announcements. That was the New Year's Eve service there. But jump ahead to January 10th, where we had Nailed to the Cross, the choir. Then you have the people on there that will do the special for the offertory. And of course, they would have this is on the special music schedule. So they would have known about this for a couple months. They could pick up their music and practice it. Then there's actually 2 songs in the evening. 2 songs before the message and before the special. So there you see 451, Wonderful, Wonderful Jesus. So we actually sing the first verse, and the orchestra plays the first verse. And then the orchestra starts moving on the first. That's what it is. The orchestra leaves on the first verse, and then we go out, you guys go on the second. So the song starts. They play. We sing. On verse 2, the orchestra starts to leave, and we sing verse 2. And then when verse 3 starts, that's when the choir starts to go out the side. Then most of the time you have enough time for 451 to be back in the auditorium. And then the whole church is there to sing one last congregational song together, which is kind of a nice touch. So we did 36 on that day. A Mighty Fortress Is Our God. And then the mixed ensemble sang. And then there was the message that night. If you turn to the back, you see some of our Thursday night services. January 7th was a PTF. That was before you guys got back. That's a parent-teacher fellowship. So you guys weren't here for that PTF. I think you've been here for others. But those nights are a little different. A lot of the music will be done by the band will play, the high school choir will sing. The offertory is usually a couple of the high school girls. And then, of course, the message is having to do with education. And then afterwards, we split up, and you guys are able to go your separate ways. And I listen to the teacher tell me how my students are doing. And then there's different projects on display, different places. But a typical Thursday night, normally we'll have a special. But during Institute times, he's cut out the special. And again, you got to have a special. No, I mean, you do what works with the schedule, with the church scheduling. So we're trying to just not be, we've always done it this way, so we have to do it this way. Well, the Lord laid it on his heart to have the Institute as well as talk about the ministry of the pastor and the responsibilities of the flock and different things. So he's got several things going on, and so he just cut out the specials for those nights where we can just come and sing together and enjoy some lesson. You don't have a group that's concerned with doing a special. So we sing together, and we have that time. But normally, if it's not Institute, we will have a special on those nights. But here's what you see for January. So you have C66. We go to January 14th. C66, Speak My Lord, and then prayer. And then a missionary report. So he'll get up and update us on some missionaries, or sometimes we'll have ministry updates. Like February 11th, I'm going to jump up and hopefully show some pictures from Jolly 60s and talk about Jolly 60s for a couple minutes. But we have a spot for that. And then announcements and offerings. So Carla played on the 14th. And then with the chorus book, C91, I've Got Joy, and then Institute. All right, so you guys, what I'd like you to do is think through what you like about what we do. But by all means, you don't have to, someday when I visit your church, if you're in charge of putting the schedule together and your song service isn't like ours, I'm gonna so blog about that, right? I mean, you will be in so much. No, I'm just teasing, of course. I want you to take some ideas. Think about it. Say, I like the way Fairhaven does this. I like the way we do this back home. Or maybe you were in a church service. I think I told you guys about the communion service where they dimmed the lights for the communion service. Not way down, but change the lighting some to change the mood of it. And I thought, I like that idea. That's something. So maybe you're visiting a church and you think, I like that. Oh, this isn't what we do. Yeah, they're just ideas. I liked the idea. So I want you guys to think it through and kind of put together your own service schedule. You can kind of pattern it after this somewhat, but ideas from back home, ideas, or even just ideas that you think. I've always thought that it'd be kind of neat if. Sometimes we have really good ideas. Sometimes we have ideas that you try and you go, oh, that's why people don't do that. All right. So you guys can keep that, and you actually have the top secret information for the rest of this month for one more weekend and a Thursday or two more. One more Thursday. So you'll be able to impress your friends. Say, you ever that feeling like you know what page number's coming next? I'll bet, I did do that one time. It was a while ago, but people know I have a schedule with me almost all the time now. But way back when, I was sitting next to somebody. You're not supposed to talk in choir, but it was kind of before churches started, and the prelude was going on, and I knew somebody was going to sing a solo, and somebody else was going to give the testimony, and somebody else was going to pray. So I'm sitting next to the fellow in choir, and I'm looking out, and I'm like, look at her. She did her hair. I bet you she's singing a solo today. And he's like, you think? He's just watching. I'm like, I think so. I'm like, oh, wait. Look at him. Look at the way he's rubbing his hands, right? He's nervous. I bet she's giving the testimony today. And he's like, boy, I bet you he is. And I'm like, oh. And I'm like, I wonder who's praying. Oh, look. He's sitting in an unusual spot near the front. He's got to be the one praying. And as the service went, now, of course, everyone got up. Everyone got up. And, of course, he said, he's like, boy, you were right. Can you do that every weekend? I'm like, only the weekends I have a schedule. So anyway, you have that top secret information. But look at it and think it through. We do vary things. Sometimes we try to think of this last institute on January 7th. I remember looking at it and saying, oh no, here's this chorus that somebody put in here that whoever put this schedule together forgot that the orchestra has to get out during this song, and then the choir has to leave the auditorium and assemble in the back and come out, and I had the high school's choir stand on the stairs for that night. And so they, of course, fill up both sides. So the orchestra had to leave, and then the people from the auditorium that aren't in the orchestra had to go back and get situated and come out. And they had this shorter chorus. Like, oh, no. So I remember seeing the Pastor Parrish. And I said, brother, you're going to have to sing through this a couple times. We are not going to be in place. So he was prepared. He got up and he said, here's the song. Let me talk about it for a little bit, and probably we'll sing it through a couple times and let everyone get in their place as people move around or whatever. So it worked out. But that would have been strange as he's concluding the song, he goes and sits down, and then boom, the choir comes out, and then the auditorium watches them all walk to their spot. And it seemed like you could use your time more efficiently, and we were able to do that. Okay, So we have, I'll let you look at this one last time. Of course, you can ask me to look at it. But again, here's that hymn tracker. As I give you some notes about it, you can kind of look at it a little bit as we, you don't have to look at it again, but you guys glanced at it, and that's kind of the where you put your work into that. Then when your work is done in that, then you automatically know songs that would fit for different scenarios, like what we just talked about, a longer song where the choir needs to do this, the orchestra needs to do this, and by the time the song is done, we'd like the people to be in these spots. So it's got to be a little bit longer. So just a couple notes on scheduling song services. Now, what you're going to have to do is probably your church will have a hymnal. But if it's a brand new church and you're deciding, maybe some church has donated their old hymnal and it's falling apart, and you're saving up money to buy a new hymnal. We were able to get these hymnals, the great hymns of the faith, and then we supplement with songs that we love with our chorus book. And of course, we put that together, and you guys will know that it's available to you guys. Hopefully, we'll be able to have plenty of those. If you guys had a ministry and said, I want to get that chorus book. I remember enjoying our chorus book back home in Utah. And when I was out there on a visit, I was like, can I get one of those chorus books? And they had a couple that were falling apart. I said, can I have those? Just I like the songs and the memories. And they said, sure, take them. So whatever songs you have, what you'll need to do is just go page by page. And it is nice. You can get the ideas. Yes, it's helpful to decide what things belong to. But you have a couple indexes in the back, a topical index. And the topical index can help you as far as Christ-centered or Christmas. You're thinking, oh, I got to look for Christmas songs. Well, they're going to have it in the topical index. So as you go through, you can use that and just go song by song and think about it. The main thing you're doing is separating songs. It doesn't separate them by length. Like, how many verses is this? Are there repeats? How long will it take to sing this? So there's some things some of the work is done for you, but there's other work we have to just go through and look at length for this or that. Okay. So you have some of this on your syllabus, but what you're going to do is go through your songbook and make a list of the songs you'll sing. And some of the songs you'll find in several categories. Like, for instance, songs that would go good for communion, Lord's Supper. Well, some of those songs you want to sing on a Sunday evening anyway. You don't want to only sing those songs for Lord's Supper. There may be other times you want to. Other songs may be invitation songs. Have thine own way, Lord. Like I said before, if we only did have thine own way at invitation, well, here we don't sing our invitation. They play it while we stand quietly with our heads bowed and our eyes closed, and then you go forward. So basically, if you said, have thine own way, Lord, will be an invitation song, and invitation songs, I didn't put anywhere else on my hymn tracker. So the church would actually never sing, have thine own way, Lord. And I like those words, have thine own way, Lord. So you'd want to consider having them maybe under invitation and on a Sunday evening, or even a Sunday morning might be a nice one for the visitors that are there. So you're going to look at morning songs. Which songs strike you more as morning? Ones that would go good for when you have your visitors there. What about evening songs? Evening songs when a lot of times it's not a lot of visitors. It's the workers that were in the morning all over the church grounds are now together. And we want to get some doctrine. We want to enjoy some songs where we can just praise God. We're going to look at it in these next couple of weeks as far as different types of music. Some music is directed toward the people, and some music is directed toward God. So you'd want to have songs that say, you should you should consider God. And so it's like the songs are directed at the people. They're evangelical. Other songs are directed toward God. It's like, oh God, you're so good. Your mercy is endureth for all generations, and your long suffering is plentiful. Thou art gracious and merciful, and you're just praising Him, which a Sunday morning crowd, I don't want to get with a bunch of unbelievers and praise God. They would do it, but it's not right. They're not doing it with the right heart. You have to be a believer to I don't want to be praising God with a bunch of unbelievers. So you kind of, a Sunday evening, that's where you'd want to be praising God together. Not that you can't praise God on a Sunday morning, but you think those. What about big songs? You go through and say, oh, this is a nice big congregational song. This would be a fun one to put here where the choir is back with everybody, depending on how your service is. Revival songs. You'd want to maybe think about songs when the church, maybe you have a revival meeting every year at this time. And so that month you'd say, I want to have these songs kind of sprinkled throughout the rest of the year, but I want to make sure we're singing these songs a lot during revival. And then new songs each month. We'll talk about that a little bit with our philosophy on the right type of a song leader. But sometimes you can hit a new song every Sunday evening, and then throughout a month, and then put it somewhere in the next month, because we got familiar with it, now it's one of ours. But then the next month, put it somewhere. Put it on one of your midweek services or your Sunday evening service. By the way, some songs in the hymnal, you'll say, boy, that's more of a solo. That one doesn't even fit so much a congregational song. But you want to think through those things. We mentioned Christmas. There are times of the year that you could kind of pick out those songs. Christmas and Easter, Thanksgiving, 4th of July, stewardship. Most of this you would find in the topical index. In the topical index, you go through and pick out the familiar ones, and you say, well, I'd like to learn this other song on stewardship throughout the year. So when it comes to September, August, September, when we have our stewardship time, we know this for stewardship time. All right, and then choruses. It's nice to have our choruses, and we have a chorus book for that. And then invitation songs. Let's see. Let me open it up right now. Invitation. I've seen, here's different types of invitations I've seen. I think back home, most of the time we would actually sing softly. So our eyes are open because we're looking at the music. All right, let's stand. We'll open our hymnals. If you'd like to, come forward and we'll sing quietly this. And maybe he'll say, okay, let's just close our eyes and bow our heads for a moment as the piano keeps playing. Let me ask you this, that type of thing. And then you could be more thoughtful during that time. There's been times where we had a lady, or even a man, we had a man with a really good voice, would sing very nicely the invitation song while we closed our eyes, and he would sing through it. And then, of course, here, the instruments just play, and we have our eyes bowed and our heads closed. And I think the idea is, I'm quite certain the idea is, well, you're making decisions. The whole church isn't saying, I wonder what part of the sermon they got pricked at. I wonder what, was it the part on, yep, I thought so. That confirms it all. I don't know. We human beings are not good with a lot of those things, but our minds get going. But invitation, anything different you guys have seen in your years and being in different ministries? Pretty similar to one of those things. Yeah. Okay. So as you put together a song service, obviously you want to find out from the pastor how many songs he wants. I know I saw Pastor Dameron walking by the other day, looking, and he's like, oh, hey, and he caught Mrs. Vogelin. She actually puts together schedules. She puts together schedules. Dr. Vogelin picks the songs. So she kind of works on the special music. He picks the hymns, and then she puts together into the schedule. They give it to Pastor Dameron to look over, and he looks over and kind of says, okay, this is what we're doing that month. Oh no, that's not going to work here. And then he approves it if it's going to work, or he says, yeah, we need to change this. And then she gets it all changed, and then they pass it out to the people that need to know those things. Even then, you're going to have little changes. If my wife is down to do a solo and she has no voice, okay, and she knows that on Saturday, sometimes they can say, hey, you guys are singing Thursday. How's your song coming together? It's coming together great. Well, tonight, do you think you guys could just plan on doing it tomorrow evening? On a Saturday evening, my group meets. Hey, so tonight, instead of getting ready for Thursday, can you get ready for Sunday night? And then maybe Mrs. Mitchell can sing Thursday night. And so then you just communicate. You let Mrs. Vogelin know, hey, we're trying to do this. Yes, okay. And then she can actually make sure the schedule says that. For church, we don't like to have things crossed out, another name there. It just does. We like to actually have on the schedule what we're going to do. And we have enough people to make sure that happens. Sometimes, I don't know, some ministries, there's going to be some fluidity, especially with Jolly 60s. You look up and the person you were going to have pray wasn't able to come that day. So if you have the person's name down, you're like, so-and-so, can you pray? Or whatever. If it's a ministry and people aren't there all the time because of ailments or different things. Okay, so you want to find out what the pastor wants and then plan an organized service schedule with variety. And then schedule a good service, including specials. So here's an idea after special meetings. So if you have a week of special meetings, add a little specialness, if that's a word, into the service just after. Like the Sunday after a week of special meetings, kind of keep up. Don't almost go back to, all right, we're back to the humdrum. Almost make it a little bit special the week after as well is an idea that has been quite helpful.